Hello everyone. We at Team Enlight brings to you ENbreezEN, the daily news analysis program to help you sail through the UPSC Civil Services preparation. Today, I'll be taking you through the following topics. Have a glance at it. Let's start our discussion with the first topic, Agreement on Agriculture. So recently, the Commerce Minister has said that WTO Agreement on Agriculture favors the developed countries and is against developing countries. In this context, we must know about Agreement on Agriculture. So Agreement on Agriculture is aimed to remove trade barriers and to promote transparent market access and integration of global markets. So it stands on three pillars, and the first one is domestic support. So here it calls for reduction in domestic subsidies that distorts free trade and fair price. Under this provision, the aggregate measurement of support AMS is said to be reduced by 20% over a period of 6 years by developed countries and 13% over a period of 10 years by developing countries. So there are few subsidies associated with this domestic support, that is green box subsidy, amber box subsidy and blue box subsidies. Coming to green box subsidies, they are subsidies that do not distort trade or cause only minimum distortion, and usually these subsidies are not for specific products. Green box subsidies are allowed without any limit. They can include direct income support for farmers that are decoupled from current production levels and prices. And examples include research funding, conservation and environmental programs, domestic food aid including food stamps, inspection programs, disaster relief, etc. Moving on to amber box subsidies, it includes subsidies that distort international trade by making the products of the country cheaper as compared to similar products from other countries in the global market. They are said to distort trade since they encourage excessive production. Examples include input subsidies such as subsidy for fertilizers, seeds, electricity, irrigation, minimum support price, etc. And it is capped at 5% of the total agri production for developed countries and 10% for developing countries. And next is blue box subsidies. Amber box subsidies that tend to limit production are classified under blue box. So its opponents argue that these payments are only partly decoupled from production. And countries in favor say that these subsidies are needed for agricultural reforms. And examples include subsidies linked with capping of acreage or number of animals. And only a few nations use this subsidy. Moving on. The second pillar, the first pillar is domestic support. The second pillar is market access. So, market access for goods in the WTO means the conditions, tariff and non-tariff measures agreed by members for the entry of specific goods into their markets. And the third pillar is export subsidy. Subsidy on inputs of agriculture making export cheaper, or other incentives for export such as import duty remission, etc. are included under export subsidies. So these can result in dumping of highly subsidized products in other country and damage domestic agriculture sector of other country. And according to WTO, the overall aim of Agreement on Agriculture is to establish a fairer trading system that will increase market access and improve the livelihoods of farmers around the world. So next is Agreement on Agriculture favoring developed countries as said by the Commerce Minister. See, first of all, there was a study conducted jointly by India, China, which shows that developed members including US, EU and Canada have been using the flexibility and subsidized a large number of items heavily at some point of time over the past 2 decades. And they give out several times higher subsidies to their farmers than the rest of the world. And currently in effect, the developed world can give as much as $160 billion of trade distorting subsidies that affect prices and production without attracting penalties. So in the US, the product specific support was 10% or more of the value of production for around 30 products in some years during 1995 to 2014. And the study further shows that even the latest figure of 2014 revealed that product specific support for items such as sugar and zesine in US was over 50%, while for items such as peanuts, millet and cotton it was 16%. So here what you should focus is World Trade Organization, the composition of World Trade Organization, and what is India's role in World Trade Organization apart from this agreement on agriculture. See, as US is coming up with protectionism measure, there is a great role for India to do in World Trade Organization. So this aspect can be asked in your prelims point of view as well as in mains point of view. So be familiar with World Trade Organization, its composition, and more specifically agreement on agriculture in this context. So moving on to the next topic, that is millets. So this news is taken from PIB. So it says that India take a leading position in production of millets, and millets in daily diet will fight malnutrition, says Union Agriculture Minister also. So in this context, we must know what are millets basically and how it can help in the nutrition support. So here millet is a common term to categorize small seeded grasses that are often termed nutri-cereal or dryland cereal, and see millets are often referred to as superfood. Fine. And it includes jowar, bajra, ragi, millet, foxtail millet, etc. And we have a millet called as kodo millet, which is originated in India. It is assumed that the domestication of this millet took place about 3000 years ago. And kodo millet is well suited for tropical and subtropical regions, and it is said to possess the highest drought resistant among all minor millets and believed to give good yield with a growing period lasting 80 to 135 days. And India, Nigeria and China are the largest producer of millets in the world, accounting for more than 55% of the global production. So for many years, India was a major producer of millets. However, in recent years, millet production has increased dramatically in Africa. So in India, pearl millet is the fourth most widely cultivated food crop after rice, wheat and maize. See, it is the fourth most widely. Okay, first is rice, second is wheat, third is maize. This can be asked in prelims statement wise question. And three major millet crops currently growing in India are jowar, bajra and ragi. And the major producers include Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Haryana. Moving on, what is the need for this promotion of millets? First of all, it is a climate resilient crop. Further, millets are not water or input intensive, making them a sustainable strategy for addressing climate change and building resilient agri-food systems. And secondly is about nutritional security. Millets are high in dietary fiber. Nutri-cereals are a powerhouse of nutrients including iron, folate, calcium, zinc, magnesium, etc. And they are not only important for the healthy growth and development of children, but have also been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease, diabetes, etc. And see, this non-communicatory diseases are increasing nowadays. So in this context, this is important. And see, millets being gluten-free and low glycemic index food are good for diabetic person and can help to combat cardiovascular diseases and nutritional deficiency. And third important aspect is economic security. Millets can be grown on dry, low fertile, mountainous, tribal and rain-fed areas. Moreover, millets are good for the soil, have shorter cultivation cycle and require less cost-intensive cultivation. So given all these features, low investment will be needed for the production of millets and thus can prove to be a sustainable income source for farmers. So this comes under GS3 as well as in GS1 in geographical aspect, that is major cropping pattern in India. Like that, questions can be expected. Moving on. So World Bank says that it is going to stop ease of doing business report as it finds the data juggling, says a recent news article. So in this context, we must know what is ease of doing index report. Ease of doing index report was introduced in 2003 by the World Bank, and the index aims to provide an assessment of objective measures of business regulations and their enforcement across 190 economies on 10 parameters affecting a business through its life cycle. And the parameters include starting a business, dealing with construction permits, electricity availability, property registration, credit availability, protecting minority investors, paying taxes, trading across borders, contract enforcement, resolving insolvency. And see, these parameters can be asked in prelims. So, be familiar with these parameters. Moving on, India's performance in the recent EODB index is also quite important, which can be quoted in your mains answers. So, in the recent World Bank Ease of Business ranking, India has recorded a jump of 14 position at 63rd rank in 2020 report against its rank of 77 in 2019. And India's improved ranking was on the back of reforms such as it dealt with construction permits, trading across borders, and resolving insolvency. And the turnaround time of ships in India has also almost halved to 2.48 days in 2018-19 from 4.67 days in 2010-11. However, India still trials in parameters such as ease of starting a business, registering property, paying taxes, and enforcing contracts. So, these points can be quoted in your mains answers, as well as it can be asked in prelims regarding who releases ease of business ranking report or like important parameters kind of stuff. Moving on. The final topic for the day is Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana. So, this scheme is also taken from PIB, and we should study the important facts about Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana. So, whenever you study a scheme, you should look into 4 aspects. One is ministry, second is objective, third is salient features, and if any eligibility criteria or like any exclusion kind of thing is there, you should also focus on that. So, here the ministry is very important. It comes under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and it was launched in 2017. So, see here, it is a central sector scheme, which means that 100% of the funding is done by the central government, and it is used to fund the Senior Citizen Welfare Fund, and the fund was notified in the year 2016. And all unclaimed amounts from small saving accounts, Providence Fund are transferred to this fund, and it aims to provide aids and assistance, living devices to senior citizens belonging to below poverty line category. Important, have a note of this. And those persons who suffer from age-related disabilities such as low vision, hearing impairment, loss of teeth, and locomotor disabilities will be given assistive living devices. And the aids and assistive devices such as walking sticks, elbow crutches, walkers, etc. are provided to eligible beneficiaries. And the scheme is being implemented by Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India, that is ALIMCO, which is a public sector undertaking under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So, see here, what is important? One is ministry associated with Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana. Second is objective, that is, it aims to provide aids and assistive living devices to senior citizens belonging to below poverty line. That is important. Okay. Then salient features, that is, what all assistive devices are given and who is the implementing agency, that is Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India. These aspects you should know. So that's all for today. Hope we had a fruitful session. Thank you and happy learning.